Greetings and salutations, loyal viewers of this channel. My name is Sean, and today we're going to take the time to highlight an absolutely heroic action by a Houston middle school teacher who saw a girl in distress and decided to act. He ran up, got his firearm, decided that he was going to intervene, and he ended up saving a 15-year-old girl from an absolutely heinous crime that was occurring in his neighborhood. And while it is important to highlight the individual nature of this courageousness, the man behind the gun, the hero of the tale, it's also important to talk about how this is yet another defensive use of firearm that doesn't show up in any statistics. All this propaganda that is anti-gun throughout our society, that is almost omnipresent, can't stand up to scrutiny. And we saw when the CDC actually did investigate this, they found millions of instances of defensive uses of firearms. So I think it's important to highlight that. But before we get into that, I want to thank everybody who supports this channel via actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Give me the money. Give me the money. Okay.
On KHOU 11 News tonight, we are hearing from a good Samaritan who helped save a teenager from being sexually assaulted. Investigators say the victim was followed after getting off a public bus. Aniele Ruiz has the hero story and the ongoing search for the attacker.
So another good reason to highlight this story is the fact that this suspect, even though he was stopped at gunpoint by this good Samaritan, is actually still on the loose. The police are still looking for him. We got a pretty decent image from the bus of said suspect. So if you know who this person is, I suggest you turn him in because we need some accountability for this action. But the story plays out as follows. 15-year-old girl is on a bus late in the evening, reportedly to go see her good friend. Another person who's on the bus with her decides that he's going to target this girl. He's going to assault her in an absolutely disgusting way. So when she gets off the bus, he follows her into an apartment complex, and that is when his attack begins.
Well, guys, this man is a hero. He tells us he didn't think twice to actually jump into action and try to help this young girl, but he also tells us this isn't the first time he's had to do something like this.
Away from her.
It's dramatic video of David jumping out of his apartment into action after he said he heard a young girl yelling for help.
I looked out the window and I saw a man beating up a woman on the ground, and he was trying to take her clothes off.
David tells me he didn't think twice to go and get his gun.
So first of all, I just want to point out that this guy is in a relative state of undress. He does appear to have some underwear on, but the reason why I had to substitute the blur with the black bar is because YouTube's terms of service treat me absolutely terrible when I show this. The full video is linked in the description, fully monetized, by the way, on the local news channel, but you could see David, the hero of the day, pointing his firearm and saying, "Get away from her," to this suspect who he saw attacking her. And by the way, the local news setup that I find incredibly intriguing about this is that apparently this isn't the first time he's had to use a firearm in order to defend another person, which again also does not show up in any crime statistics. Something for you to keep in mind when you hear all of this anti-gun propaganda is that the defensive uses, when no shots are fired, when you deflect a criminal or deter a criminal from taking further criminal action, just aren't present in the stats.
I ran upstairs, I grabbed my pistol, and then I came outside and I asked what's going on. And the girl screamed, "I'm 15, help me." So I pointed my gun at him.
And one of the reasons why I highlight stories where self-defense rights and defense of others' rights get eroded in our society is because they have the effect of making these actions either criminal or deterring people from taking these said actions. Remember what happened in the Minnesota Supreme Court, where they extended the duty to retreat, which, by the way, was invented by the Minnesota Supreme Court. It's not even in the legislation, to say that even showing a weapon, not using a weapon, but showing a weapon is something that you can't do unless you have assessed all different abilities to retreat. Now, in this particular scenario, even under that strict standard, there is a better than not chance that those actions would be covered because the girl did not have the ability to escape. She was being pinned down, beaten up by this monster, by this absolute animal in this situation. So it might have been covered under defense of others, but in the heat of the moment, I do want to point out that this guy guy actually pursued the suspect for a little while longer, and possibly that would not be covered in a state like Minnesota. They would have said, hey, Monday morning quarterback time, you should have ran the other direction, and now you're guilty of scaring that poor innocent Angel Aladdin who's just trying to get this kind of gratification by force from a 15-year-old from feeding his starving family.
We've paused the surveillance video to prevent from showing the 15-year-old victim, but you can hear and see when David confronts the suspect. But David said he had the young girl by the hair.
Took his hands off her right away, and he went chasing after her, so I went chasing after him, and she got away. She went to someone she knew apartment.
So first of all, again, great defensive use of a firearm. This guy shouts out. He points the firearm at the suspect. The suspect releases her. He was trying to remove this 15-year-old girl's clothes, had her by the hair, was punching her in the face, and then the girl takes off running out of fear, and the suspect ends up chasing after the girl. He's still trying to get something going with this girl against her will, because that's what an absolute thug he is. So this guy ends up pursuing, again, barefoot, just wearing his boxers with his firearm, ready to stop this person, and the girl ends up escaping into a friend's apartment, possibly the initial friend that she came to see, and the traumatic situation is almost over. Now, again, I will point out, the suspect is still on the loose. Get a good look at him. If you're in the East Harris County area, this is in and around Houston, then please call Crime Stoppers if you want to get the reward money, call the police if you see him, because obviously this person is incredibly dangerous. He should not be out on the streets again, and he's lucky that he didn't get shot, but in this situation, that firing of the gun didn't appear to be necessary.
One neighbor tells us what she saw from her window.
At first I was scared because I literally thought she was about to get raped. I think if he didn't come out, she probably would have got raped or something.
Now look, the person that they're interviewing is a young girl. They're hiding her identity in and around the neighborhood, but I just want to point out that this is what you're faced against when you are being victimized in the street and you have looky-loos who do not act. There is nothing to indicate from right here that this girl did call 911, but let's assume that she did eventually call 911 before this person acted or during the time when this teacher acted, and the police were on their way. You have minutes before you're actually safe, before the police actually arrive, and who knows, by that time, the assault that he was trying to commit could have been completely completed, or we could have been in a situation where he dragged this woman to another place, he decided to kill her, or any kind of situation like that could have occurred. So it's just another reminder, in my opinion, that when seconds count, the police are minutes away.
Harris County Sheriff investigators shared this picture of the suspect. They tell us the 15-year-old girl was on the bus with him. She got off the bus stop and he followed her across the street and into this complex. One neighbor who knows the teen told us she was heading to see a friend, and inside the apartment complex, that's when the suspect attacked her.
Get a good look at the suspect right there, but also, and I'm not trying to blame the victim, this is advice for people going forward, be very aware of your surroundings. The noise-canceling headphones are absolutely great, but if you want to be on the phone with somebody, put one headphone in and make sure you're able to hear. It is not worth it. If somebody is coming up behind you as you're entering an apartment complex, do not let that person in. If you don't feel like they're a genuine person, a genuine resident, and even if you do, it is not your job to be courteous to let them in near midnight when you're going to visit a friend. Obviously, you have to take your precautions, you have to be aware of your surroundings, and you have to understand when somebody is following you on the bus or through public transportation, they get off on your stop. When that feeling comes over you that something is wrong, there is a chance that something is wrong. This girl was unbelievably blessed that this person ended up coming in and intervening before the situation got more traumatic, but the fact of the matter is, it was already traumatic for her. She was already physically assaulted. She had to deal with a man, a criminal, trying to rip off her clothes in the middle of the grass in this apartment complex because he didn't give a damn about anything but his own personal gratification. Or as left-wing progressives would say, he was hungry and he just needed to get bread for his family and for some orphans in his neighborhood.
You're willing to do this where everybody is and people can actually see what you're doing. That makes me wonder, A, is this your first time? B, we need to get you off the streets before you continue to hurt young girls again.
Again, all of that is true. When you see a crime like this that's so bold, that is done out in public, that is so sudden, that of course only took him spotting her on the bus for him to identify her as a potential victim, it goes through your mind that there must be multiple other victims that are out there, and if this is the first time, there is a very high chance there would be future victims if they don't catch this individual. Now, I also want to point out that this is Houston Crime Stoppers or Harrison County Crime Stoppers, so if you want the reward money and you don't want to get cheated, call the Crime Stoppers number in order to lead to an arrest, not 911, because we've done stories about them cheating people out of the rewards that they thought they were getting because people were smart enough to call 911 in an emergency situation, and they want to put that bad incentive out there, so I'm just going to remind you that it does in fact exist.
And this local middle school teacher turned hero.
With that, I take my hat off to you.
Look, if I had a hat, I would also tip it to this middle school teacher, and how nice is it for us on this channel to talk about the actions of a public school teacher and have them be so great, so grand, so glorious. But this man, David, he really wraps it up with a nice little bow with his final statement, and I just gotta give credit, all the lauding, all the praise to him, because these words, in my opinion, are incredibly powerful.
David says he just did the right thing.
I was scared too, I'm not gonna lie, but she needed help more than I was afraid, so I had to do it.
I absolutely love that. She needed help more than he was afraid, so he had to take action. He had to just do it. Again, David, all the respect in the world to you. I'm going to look for a GoFundMe if one exists for you. Link that in the description. I have not found it at the time of me recording this video because we got to give credit to the gun owners that make other gun owners look great. We got to give credit to the citizens that make the American people look special, look courageous, because his actions really do elevate society. We saw the dredges of humanity on that bus follow that girl, attack that girl, and then we saw the glory of humanity, the courage of humanity. And let us not mince words, third-party interveners, people who get involved in crimes in and around the Houston area, oftentimes do face armed resistance, but he set aside those concerns because she needed him more than he was afraid, as he said, and he acted, and he deserves all the praise and all the good things. And I hope his students like him. I hope his students appreciate him because he goes above and beyond for a young person in peril. Now look, that's all I really have for you guys today. I want to thank you so much for tuning into this video, a positive story covered on the AJW channel. What a relief. And as usual, if you like this video, if you like these kind of positive stories, then show me by leaving a like. You can subscribe for more content. You can follow me on all my social medias. Support me via the support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about an absolutely heroic man from East Harris County. Till next time.